Hey, how's it going, folks? How are we doing here? It is me again. I've returned for yet another video, and this time, unfortunately, it's bad news coming out of the University of Hawaii sports camps, or at least one of the sports anyway, and that's the softball team. But it's been a while since I actually did a video like this, and I'm glad that you guys are showing your support. Unfortunately, my channel got demonetized almost about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I'm still gonna post videos. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try again when I can. But I also have a link down below for Patreon because I started a Patreon account myself. So anyway, subscribe if you haven't. Helps the algorithm, helps me out. Hopefully, I'll get my channel monetized again. So anyway, unfortunately, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna say right now that the purpose of this video, unfortunately, the University of Hawaii softball team is losing a key contributor, and that's Brianna Lopez. I'll explain more in just a minute, but first, let's start this thing. Okay, 4 days ago, I was checking out Instagram. Brianna Lopez has put out a post saying that as pitcher, and of course she is the one of the pitchers on the softball team. And Brianna Lopez has announced that she's entering the transfer portal with 2 years of eligibility left. So obviously, this is a huge loss for sure. Obviously, because if you saw my one of my past recaps of the softball games that I started doing earlier this year, Brianna Lopez pulled off a no hitter in the back half of UH's doubleheader against UC San Diego. As a result, UH had 6 hits in that game and 3 runs. And in all the hoopla, UC San Diego got shut out both times. But in that second game, they didn't even get a single hit. And according to Bri Lopez herself, that was her first no hitter ever. And as I said in my past recap video there, don't doubt that she'll do it again. I'm saying that right now. So obviously, losing Brianna Lopez and losing players and losing other players like Jadyn Nielsen is never fun, especially especially in a year like they had where quite a few games did slip through their fingers and they were unable to pull off a 3-0 series against some teams, even against some teams like Riverside and Bakersfield that I thought were likely candidates. But of course, it is what it is. I mean, softball, I think everybody's kind of evenly matched, unless you got a really good player like Jocelyn Allo at Oklahoma. Of course, UH has had their own good players like Kelly Majum and Jessica Iwata. Of course, I only heard little bits and pieces about them, but I know for sure that they were badass players for sure. Those three I mentioned, Jocelyn Allo at Oklahoma, and of course Kelly Majum and Jessica Iwata here at the University of Hawaii. So obviously, UH has really got to start finding some people. And another thing that's happened, it's starting to look a lot. It's also starting to look like one player who's not returning to the roster, but is now going to be on the coaching staff, is Maya Nakamura, Roosevelt grad. Um, but that's a big loss too, because Maya Nakamura has been known to to belt a couple of dingers in any given game herself. It's kind of like Isabella Martinez and Maya Bethia as well. And to a point, Sarah Bartolotti, but she's already graduated. So obviously, losing girls like them is never fun, as I said. But I have a total love hate relationship with the transfer portal. And but most of the time it's kind of on a hate kind of thing because you really hate to see good players leave. And I even had said this in a prior video, but I did speak with former ESPN Honolulu sports analyst Jeff Portnoy, and what he told me is the fact that people transfer all the time, and and that's the reality, and that unfortunately is the reality. And obviously, the University of Hawaii is not immune to the transfer portal. No college is, and of course, as I said, the reality. Of course, as far as reality goes, unfortunately, this happens every year. You lose good players, but you do add good players, and occasionally you don't. But certainly, I sure hope that they can find someone. I mean, they do have a couple of other pitchers, and Key Campbell Pua, and I think Mason Gibbs is another pitcher. So, do I think that the pitching part of the softball team is covered? I like to say yes, but then again, losing someone like Brianna Lopez, especially a California girl like she is a big loss. I mean, even if they're from California, sometimes you do get homesick, and sometimes you just long to just be closer to home or just be closer to family. And of course, you can't really blame them. They are about 2 or 3 thousand miles away from home, at least those that decide to come to the University of Hawaii. But hey, we have our own cultural diversity. We have a lot of because Hawaii is certainly no short of places to eat and all that. And but of course, obviously, you do get the factors of homesickness or anything like that, which is which you can't really blame them for. And you know, it's hard to really know exactly why they decide to transfer if they're not homesick, but from what I got from there, from what I saw at the softball games that I went to this past year, those girls love each other, that's for sure. And to see them leave via graduation or the transfer portal is certainly a big loss, regardless of if they get time on the court or time on the field or not. But but like I said earlier, unfortunately, this happens every year. You know, people transfer all the time, and like Jeff Portnoy told me, um, you know, it's hard to know, but of course, it is hard to figure out exactly why they're transferring. Like they want more time on the court or more time on the field or anything. But I want to wish Brianna Lopez all the best. I know she enjoyed her time here, but at the same time, I really would have liked her to finish out her final 2 years here. But it is what it is. So so obviously, I want to wish her all the best. So so hopefully we'll find some good players, and hopefully we'll be in for another good season. And another thing that came out of left field just before I say goodbye. Another Speaking of goodbyes, it turns out that the head coach Bob Coolen is actually planning to retire after a couple more seasons at the University of Hawaii, which I thought was which I thought was totally nuts and just totally took me by surprise because how long has he been at the University of Hawaii? Since 1991. And I've only been going to the softball games for the last year or so. And I do find softball to be very entertaining. It's definitely a lot shorter than baseball games for sure, but it's always nice to. But I find it a good counterpart to baseball, and I said I was going to start going to some more softball games, which I did. Um, you know, of course, I'm not part of the media, so I didn't really get any quotes for some of the stories that I wrote. But hey, I'm still learning the ropes. I will apply. I am gonna try apply for a media pass, at least for the basketball games. Get some good shots to put on my channel, and hopefully for you to see, and also share my thoughts as well on their games. And obviously, softball and UH men's basketball certainly kind of underachieved because they did lose some players of their own. Because like they lost Maya Nakamura for the senior night for the final senior homestand, and of course the basketball team has lost their fair share of players, and that all started in the exhibition matchup when they lost Juan Munoz to an Achilles tendon. So I'm holding out hope that next year will be much better. But obviously we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. So anyway, guys, that's all for today, and I will see you all soon. Well, I'm a opponent, everyone.